howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And this is episode 228.
Yes.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems on a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the Doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the Doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, and the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator.
I could retire and do that. I'm the Doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Howdy do, Who fans. Hope you've all had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
That's the one.
That's the one. Welcome aboard, new listeners. Welcome aboard, long-time listeners. It's all great to have you back again for another week. We've got a slightly light news show again. Not much happening there. We've got some tasty merch to get through.
Yeah, Dalek Tat's back in the TARDIS with a few tasty bits.
Yeah, he's had enough of his sun, sea and margaritas and whatever. He's back. And then on to our review of the animated story, the recently released The Macra Terror.
Macra Terror, yeah.
The Crab Terror.
Is it a crab? Yeah, it is a crab. The crab, lobster.
Yeah.
Macra.
We need is that the production design? Yeah, we need a cool monster idea for the Macra Terror. Where are you? You're on holiday. Okay, you're at the aquarium. Okay, all right. What can you see around you right now? Crabs, cool. Right, we got it. We got it, lads. We got it.
We've got it.
Yeah. The Macra Terror, indeed.
Terror. Did you watch all this last night?
I did. Yes.
Yeah. See, I must admit, because so did I. Because for reasons that too long and boring to go into, I've had to force Gary to record the podcast a day early because a load of stuff's cropped up for me. So I kind of felt bad because I texted you last night, didn't I, and said, "Oh, can we record tomorrow?" And I was thinking, "Oh no, because you're gonna have to. That means you're gonna have to watch it all in one go." And we've said this before. Sometimes the story benefits from splitting it in two, sort of thing. So be interesting to see how you found it. I mean, when I went to the BFI to see it, obviously we watched it all in one go, so you've kind of experienced that. But yeah, just interesting to see how that's affected your thoughts on it. And I just realised as well in the rush I hadn't scored it. I literally as the theme music was playing in just then, I was like, oh, I didn't score, so I've written my score down as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you think of this one, mate, because you didn't manage to make it to the BFI screening with me, so I don't know. I have no clue of your Macra thoughts on this one.
Yeah, I wasn't at the BFI for this one, so
no.
Last night was the first time that I'd seen it. Actually, I hadn't watched it, but I've made a bit of a boober, you know.
Why?
Because because it was still in the Amazon wrapper yesterday.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, you know, you need to get this watched this week because we're recording. So open it up, and it was the standard Blu-ray version.
Yeah.
So I kicked off and went, "This is outrageous. You know, where's my steelbook?"
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I thought, all right, they've made a mistake here. Let me just jump on. I ordered the wrong one, didn't I? So.
Oh, did you? Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So because the steelbooks they look gorgeous, don't they? They look really nice. So I thought, cool, another steelbook to smack on the shelf, and then no, just before I looked up how to contact Amazon to complain, I looked at my previous orders, and there it was, the standard Blu-ray edition. So
what you going to keep it, and are you going to bother to get the steelbook as well, or?
I'm not sure. This is kind of cool, I quite like the cover.
It is nice. It's got a nice little booklet in it, and also actually, it may actually turn out to be a good thing, because the steelbook price seems to be yo-yoing on Amazon at the minute. Yeah. I must admit, because I've got it. I don't know. It's still in my wish list. I don't know about you. Sometimes when I buy something, I sort of keep checking back to see if the price has changed, to see if I should. I don't know. But anyway, it does keep dropping, so you might actually get it cheaper in the end. So yeah, keep an eye on that one. Put it in your wish list.
Put it in the wish list. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing I'm dying to know is, did you watch? Because it gives you the option to watch black or white or color. Oh. So which did you go for?
I went for the color version.
I'm actually really pleased to hear that.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of purists are like, no, you've got to watch black and white. It's supposed to be black and white, which I totally get. But actually, I know, because you'll probably go back and watch black and white as well. But I actually think it looks. I think they've done a great job with the color version. So although I get that, we should have watched it in black and white, I actually prefer the color. So I'm really glad you have watched it now. But did it throw you? I probably should say it so we get to review. But did it throw you when it started in black and white? That opening shot of the TARDIS. Were you thinking, if I put the wrong version on?
It did for a split second. Yeah, I thought. Yeah. Hold on, I'm sure I put the color version in.
Yeah.
But no, it did. And what was really cool, we should probably save this for review. But yeah, the opening titles in color look really nice.
Yeah.
Really.
I just wondered, because when we were in the BFI, they asked us for a show of hands. So they said, right, hands up if you want to watch the black and white. Mm-hmm. Sort of half the audience. And then hands up for colour, pretty much 50-50. They went, well, it doesn't really matter because you're watching the colour anyway. We were like,
very good.
And then, of course, it starts in black and white. And I'm thinking, they've put the wrong one on. What's going on? And then it goes into colour. So, yeah. But anyway, enough. We'll save the rest for the review. But I was just curious to know.
Yes. No, I did. I had a split second thought, shall I put it in black and white? But no, I'll rewatch it in black and white at some point. Yes.
Well, what I did, because I saw it in colour at the BFI, I actually watched the black and white version last night. Cool. So I've now seen both. But that's why I can say I actually prefer the colour. Although the traditionalist in me is telling me off, smacking my wrist. I do. I think I felt the same with Power, actually. I remember liking it because there was a lot of thing about, we don't want a colour version. It shouldn't be in colour and all this. And I remember thinking, actually, do you know what? You should watch it because it actually looks really good in colour.
Yeah. I mean, I can't say anymore. We'll wait to review. But
so, okay, I'll zip it.
Yeah.
I'll zip it up.
I liked your recent video you put out on the Geeks Handbag.
Oh, thanks. What was it?
It was the LFCC Spring Roundup.
Yes, the auto roundup thingamajig. Yeah.
Yeah, brought back some cool memories. That was a nice little quiet convention, that one.
Yes, it was. Yeah, really, really did enjoy that. I'm hoping for similar things in July, actually. Yeah. No, it's nice to go back and look at I was thinking I'd got more as well, because I was sort of thinking, right, I've done my autographs, when I was filming the video, and I was like, in my head, I thought I'd bought a lot more, and I was thinking, I was actually quite good at that one. I only got some, just a couple of nice little nuggets from that one. So yes, it's pleasing. Oh, I also picked up a couple of nice things at the weekend. Did you see I got the Record Store Day vinyls?
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
Yes, the Doctor Who, so Destiny of the Daleks and Galaxy 4. Yes. Both really, really nice. A little bit pricey though. A little bit pricey. They were $34.99 each.
Oh, okay.
So, because I was expecting them to be around about 30, I thought it'd be 29 at the most.
Yeah,
but I got in there and there's a little sort of section with all the soundtracks, and I could see I could see the logo and stuff because it's in this bright silver paint sort of thing. And I was like, oh my God, they've got this. So I kind of pushed my way through, and they had a couple of copies of each, so it was all cool. But yeah, first thing was like, yes, they've got them, and oh my gosh, that's like £70 for both of them. I was like, oh. But obviously I'd gone all the way there to get them, so obviously I wasn't gonna not get them. But they are lovely. I mean, they're sort of a coloured vinyl as well. When you open them up, they're really, really nice.
Yeah, I saw your pictures on Instagram. Look really good.
Yeah,
Very
I was
nice.
very pleased. I tried to peel the stick. I tried to peel the price off as well. So my other half didn't see it because I said when I come out, I was like, right, get a quick picture of me in front of the record shop with these. I said, I'll just quickly take the price off. And it's like, I've seen the price already. I was like, oh no. It's like, I can't believe you spent all that money. I was like, oh no, busted. Yeah, busted. But I have no regrets. They're gorgeous.
No, that's it, mate. As long as you haven't got buyer's remorse as soon as you've walked out, then it's all good.
It is all good. Yeah. No, they're absolutely lovely. I'm well chuffed. The only downside is that I now really, really want that Dalek's Master Plan one, the one that's on Amazon.
Yeah, yes.
You know, the one I watched a video of John Coleshaw unboxing it on the Doctor Who YouTube channel, funny enough, and it just looks stunning.
It does,
I was thinking because it's similar artwork, you see, and you know my sort of collector side thinks, oh, I'm missing one, and that actually dropped about nearly 16 quid recently, and I can't tell you how tempted, because it's about 100 quid. It's 99 quid, and it dropped down to 84 something, I think, and I was like, ooh. I had to really restrain myself not to get. But then I was thinking after I bought these two vinyls, for the same price, I could have nearly got that box. Do you know what I mean? I got those two, but I could have nearly got the box. But it's in my wish list.
It's in the wish list.
It's there. I'm hinting. My birthday's months away, but I was like, when my birthday rolls round, could I get this? So I'll hopefully get that one day. That looks really nice. Yeah,
they are gorgeous, mate.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing that's still lingering on my wish list.
What's that?
That I kind of wish I'd have picked up at the time, but it was quite expensive if I remember. That was, do you remember when Big Finish released The Chimes of Midnight as a remastered vinyl?
Yes, with a really nice cover.
Yeah, the artwork is beautiful, wasn't it? I think I had the opportunity to buy it at the time, but I thought no, because they're
100 quid, aren't they, or 80 quid or something?
Yeah, £99, I think it was. And at the time I thought, I really like it, but I don't know, to drop 100 quid on I don't know, I just couldn't justify it at the time. But now, you know, looking back, I maybe should have got it because it's a beautiful release.
It is beautiful, but I must admit, I do still think it's overpriced because you're only getting 2 vinyls for that. I mean, at least the Master Plan one is a big box set of, I don't know, it's got quite a few in there, isn't it? Whereas I do think that's a bit steep, because I was like you. As soon as they announced it, I was like, oh, that's a definite order. And I saw the price. I thought, oh, no, that's a bit. I mean, 35 is a lot for 2 vinyls, but at least they're coloured and splattered and they look, you know, something special. I don't know, but I know what you mean. I wanted those Big Finish reissues as well. They did spare parts, I think, as well, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, which looked lovely as well.
Indeed.
One day, mate, when we make our millions.
One day.
Yeah.
One day.
When we're in the retirement home with our collection all around us.
Yeah, just literally piled up all around. And
yeah. Nurse can't get to us, just slipping over vinyls. Yeah. Oh, here's your dinner.
Got your Meals on Wheels here, come on.
Knocking a TARDIS over. Watch that, Dalek.
And they're treading on the plushies that are making the sound effects and everything.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I can see that. I can see it.
Well, as usual, mate, you've been up to a lot more than I haven't done. I've done nout in respects to Doctor Who. I've had a very quiet, other than geeking over the Macra terror last night. I've done nout really.
Actually, I've got one other question. This doesn't really affect the review. On the Macra terror Blu-ray and DVD, it's got a little 10-minute animation of the wheel in space. Did you get time to watch that?
No, I didn't.
Because I've been meaning to do this for weeks. I kept it, and then I thought, well, I'll wait till we did the review and I'll watch it then. And so I finally got around to watching that last night. Mate, it's brilliant.
Oh, is it?
It's so cool. Because I'd forgotten there's this, when I was a kid, there was this Doctor Who book. I think it's called Doctor Who Monsters or something by Terrence Dicks. And there was this black and white photo of this sort of big fat robot. And I've always loved it. I've always wanted to know. I mean, it probably told me in there. I was thinking, you know, love that robot. Make a brilliant figure. Egomos, if you're listening. And yeah, I'd forgotten it was from Wheel in Space. So the animation starts with this sort of big robot shuffling down. And I was like, it's him. It's that robot. Oh, brilliant. And it is so good. The animation's really good. And it's like, it's really smooth as well. Like, it just, you know, it doesn't feel like they're sort of trying to fill the gaps where there's audio and nothing happening. It really flows. And I was sort of thinking, why did they only make 10 minutes? What is this? Like, why did they do this? Because it's so good. Do you think they're going to finish it? I can't remember what the story was behind why they just did 10 minutes. Was it a test? I don't know.
It sounds like it. Like
normally, I need to find out. Someone listening will know. I don't know why they did it. I'm glad they did it because it's brilliant. But why did they only animate it up to a certain point, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think when you see those very short tests around sort of anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes, it's normally look, this is what the animation could look like. Look how cool it is. Give us more money to make the full.
It could be that,
thing.
yeah. I mean, I hope they go back and finish it one day because I was so engrossed in it. I was just thinking, it's like it literally finishes just as you're sort of gripped. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant, honestly. So, yeah, I recommend if you get a little 10 minutes today, just bung that on. You'll love it. Yeah, the TARDIS is I don't know who's done the animation, but the TARDIS, everything about it just looks brilliant. I was so impressed.
I will check it out, mate.
It's a very nice little extra. Yeah, very nice extra.
Now, moving on to news and merch. We haven't got any news. Like I said, it's a bit of a tumbleweed week. Again, just nothing really worthy to speak about. So let's crack on. Let's get our metal buddy and see what he's got.
Yeah.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
First up, this is a kind of a strange release, this one.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, didn't expect to see this. It's on Amazon.com as a Region 1 / kind of US release. They're going to release the Doctor Who The Animation Collection, which is a collection, as the name suggests, of 5 different stories that have been animated over the years as one thing over 2 discs on DVD. No Blu-ray. This is just DVD for now. And it consists of the 2 David Tennant animations that were released years ago.
God, ages ago, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, it was Dreamland and the Infinity Quest. It's also got Scream of the Shalka. It's got Sharda and the Power of the Daleks on there.
Mm.
And there's another badge on the front that says it's over 7 hours of content, which sounds cool. So I guess this is for people that have completely missed some of the earlier ones, but also want the newer ones as well. So it's all kind of bundled together. But it's a bit of a strange one because it's only DVD.
Yeah, and it's only 2 DVDs. That's an awful lot of stuff to cram on because if it's Blu-ray, you've got so much more space on the disc, haven't you? Because the nature of Blu-ray, you can actually fit, I don't know how many times more information onto it. But DVD, you're actually quite restricted on the amount of data you can put on the disc without really reducing the quality of the picture, without sort of getting boring about the quality. I'm just wondering how on earth they're fitting all that onto 2 DVDs because, well, I just think the quality will probably suffer, and I just can't see how they can do it because there's some, like Power's 6 episodes. Sharda's really long, isn't it? I don't know, and I do think it's quite a nice idea, like you said, for those want to get them or haven't got them, and it's quite a nice little idea to put all these animations together. But yeah, I think it should be Blu-ray, and I think the cover is absolutely atrocious. I really think the cover is awful. I thought it was a mock-up. Honestly, I saw this posted yesterday, and I thought it was a joke. I think the cover's terrible, but I think the idea for the release is a good one. I just think they need to change the cover and put it onto Blu-ray. I mean, DVD is just a bit of a... Well, it's a second-rate format, isn't it? You can't fit the information on. No, well, you can, but you reduce the quality. You need to... DVD, you kind of got much more... What's a better format?
I would imagine that... I mean, it's a bit of a shame, really, because there's so much content to squeeze onto those 2 discs, they would have had to have compressed the video files quite a lot.
But they will, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I don't want to be a tech bore, but yeah.
No, I read you. Yeah, it's the compression will be quite high, and as a result of that, which is a shame, like things like Sharda and the Power of the Daleks, which look really nice on Blu-ray, The animation's very good. They're not going to look as that good, really. The previous ones, Dreamland and the Infinity Quest, kind of get away with that because they were made years ago anyway.
Yeah.
And Schalke to an extent, but Power and Sharda, you want them to look as best as possible, really, because they were out fairly recently, weren't they? And they do look good on Blu-ray. So it's a bit of a shame. I mean, I wonder if they will. It just seems weird that they don't release things straight to Blu-ray in 2019. They're still going straight to DVD. It just seems a bit weird, but
it does seem. I was going to say. I mean, I think this is a BBC thing as well. They have always been so behind the times. What was it? Was people were moaning about recently? Actually, it was Alan Partridge, but people were saying, like, because that's getting a DVD release, and love or hate Alan Partridge, he's got a good fan base, and people were saying, like, it's 2019, BBC, you're shooting things in HD and then releasing them on a format that's lower quality than I've recorded on my television. Get with the program, you know what I mean? The BBC just do seem to always be behind. I mean, come on, Adventure in Time and Space, we still haven't.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I know it got that. I know they eventually put it in that box set on Blu-ray, but to not give it a standalone release, they just don't seem to be on the ball with these things. I mean, we're already on 4K, aren't we? We're probably there'll probably be a new format out, and then the BBC will suddenly start releasing things on Blu-ray when we're on the next generation of format. Do you know what I mean? They always seem to be behind, but yeah, it's a nice idea, but I'm just not struck with the overall product.
Yeah, true.
Personally, true. But it's Region 1 anyway, so it doesn't affect me. But I feel sorry for anyone that might want to get this. It feels like a really budget release to me.
Yeah, well, it is. It's like $18, which is what?
Oh, is it? No,
£15 or something like that for. So price to enjoyment factor, it's pretty good, but just the format's a bit of an odd choice. Yeah.
Bit of an odd choice. All right. Well, moving on to another DVD, but a good one. And that's I say that because these. I mean, they've done a few of these, and I have got them, and they're very good. So the next release in the Doctors DVD from Koch Media, I think it is, isn't it? They've done a couple of the Doctors now, and the next one's going to be the 8th Doctor. So basically, you get 2 DVDs, and they're interviews with stars from that particular Doctor's era. In this case, we've got interviews with Paul McGann himself, which is very cool. Daphne Ashbrook. We'll get Daphne Ashbrook. Yi Ji So, who played Chang Li. Eric Roberts, Philip Seagal, the producer, and Jeffrey Sachs, the director. I've got to say, I really am quite excited to get this because, being a bit of a fan of the TV movie with McGann, I'm quite intrigued to hear some of the interviews from these guys. I don't think I'm going to learn anything new because I've seen interviews with them before where they've talked about stuff. So, but I think it'll be interesting. I hope the Eric Roberts interview is good because I haven't heard him talk much about the movie before. So yeah, I'm going to pick this up, mate. What about you? Because you like the movie.
I do, very much so. And I've always, as these real-time DVDs have been released across, I don't know, the last 3 or 4 years, I think. I've always said, right, I'm going to start with this one and then go back, or this one, and I've left it. But I think this one could be the one to dive in, I think, and then pick the previous ones up. Just because there's very little in the way of behind the scenes and all that stuff from McGann's movie. There's plenty on the other ones. Loads and loads of interviews and all sorts, across DVDs and the other real-time ones for the other Doctors and all that stuff. So there's not a lot out there in the wild for McGann. So yeah, I think, yes, this is a defo pickup. How much are these now? This is 16 from Amazon, 16 quid.
Yeah, get it from. I always get them from. I tend to get them from Galaxy 4 because they're normally $9.99 post free. I don't know why Amazon are always a couple of pound more on these releases. I have no idea why. And HMV normally get them for like $10.99 if you can get to an actual shop. Right, they are good. If you can get one for around a tenner, they're good value because they're 2 discs. The interviews do vary, so sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're quite old, so the quality is not always the best, but they're normally good value, I think. And I've got all of them so far, apart from I need to get the last one. I haven't got Collins. I haven't got the Colin Baker Years yet, which came out I think a couple of weeks ago. So I need to get that, but they're pretty good these, right? I think they're good value for money. The Tom Baker one's brilliant. They put some really good stuff on the 4th Doctor one. I recommend that. Yes. But yeah, definitely get this McGann one. Looks good. It's out in September. at the moment. It's down for September the 2nd. So
nice.
Yeah.
Moving on to Titan figures. You like?
I love my Titans.
You love your Titan figures, don't you?
I do.
Yes. Yeah. The artist who works on all of the Doctor Who Titan figures goes by name of Matt Jones. He has released a series of, Titan has released a series of his figures known as the Artist Proofs. And what these are is they are like the very first. So when an artist puts a design forward, they then do like an early production run to see what they look like in physical form. And they're known as proofs for obvious reasons. And Titan are going to sell these proofs, which you can get with a little certificate of authenticity and so on. And you need to nip over to a different website. It's called Lunatic. Luna, as in the moon, and then tick, T-I-K, lunatic.com. And you'll be able to pick up a whole plethora of quirky, cool-looking Titan figures that you wouldn't have seen on the shelf thus yet. They are a little bit pricey each. They're going to set you back 20 squids for each one. However, if you are into your Titans, like I know you are, mate, and a lot of other listeners that we chat to, these could be interesting little individual pickups if you've missed any along the way, or if you just want something a little bit more kudos to put on the shelf. Like, so when your mates are over and you've got your bragging rights on, like, by the way, this 10th Doctor in a spacesuit with the glowing eyes, that's a proof figure, don't you know?
Yeah,
and then
you haven't got one of these?
Yeah, what do you mean you haven't got one? Where have you been? Yeah, that you'll either get the look of I don't care, or oh my god, that's going in my pocket on the way out.
Yeah,
so
throw the certificate in the bin, just take the
so what do you reckon, mate? These look. I mean, some of them. Most of them are 20 squids, but some of them are quite rare, and you'll pay double that. You'll pay 40 quid for them.
Yeah,
so
they are nice. I might go. I mean, 20. I think, yeah, because it's amazing how much some Titans go for on eBay. Actually, so they do seem to be really collectible. The thing is, I think Titans have improved quite a lot over the years in terms of their likeness. I think you said this actually, that the early ones, they're sort of more cartoony, caricature, whereas the recent ones, they seem to be going more for realistic likeness, don't they? And I slightly prefer that. And a lot of these are the earlier figures. So, like, for example, Mickey, I'm looking at, it's a nice little figure, but don't really look much like him. And the Rose, I always thought looked a bit thing. But there are other nice ones. I mean, I do like that Cyberman, but what's he called? The sort of skeleton Cyberman, whatever he is. I think he's from Dark Water.
Yeah.
But yeah, a nice little thing. I mean, I like this idea. It's nice they come with a certificate. But as I've got drawers of these things, literally, I'm going to hold off and be good and not buy any at the minute. Maybe in the future.
Maybe
they are tempting. They are tempting. Yeah. Oh gosh, they've got River Song. No, move on. I got a million of that blimmin' figure.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, a couple of them do look quite cool. If I was into Titans, I'd probably pick up a couple of them. But one of them is £60, and that is the 8-inch little Beast figure from the Beast Below. That'll set you back 60 quid.
Oh wow!
And I think that's the priciest one. The first Doctor, the Regen black and white one, will set you back 50 quid. Mm-hmm. A bunch of them are 40 quid. The more expensive ones are like 50 quid and that sort of thing. They're like the Chase variants and the rare ones. So expect a bit more than that. But if you want to pick them up, lunatic.com. We'll put a link in the show notes as well. But kind of cool if you're into your Titans.
Yeah, nice little things. Right, and finally, and this is hot off the press actually. So yesterday, a leaked image of the next Blu-ray set of the classic series was sort of floating around on Twitter and Facebook, and it was kind of the set we were all expecting, but it was nice to see the artwork, but we didn't know if it was genuine, so we weren't going to report on it. But today it's appeared on Amazon, so we can report on it, because we don't like to, just in case it's not real, and we don't want to put rumors out there. But it's on amazon.co.uk now, so it must be a real thing. Season 10, starring the wonderful John Pertwee. It doesn't have a date yet. We believe it's June, July, don't we? We think it's June, July. It's going to come out. So season 10, following on with the limited edition packaging.
What do you reckon to the green colour scheme for this one? Because the previous ones have been those nice sort of purpley, bluey. This is a different shift, isn't it?
My colour blindness can't tell. Is it?
Yeah. It's green, mate. Yeah. So it's the
no,
image.
I can see. Yeah.
Oh, you can. Don't wind me up.
No. I'm being serious. I can't tell it's a different shade.
Oh, right. Okay.
But I can see the green because it's Pertwee, and I'm loving the green jacket and all that. But I assume you mean the actual box?
No. The box itself is still that kind of very pale grey.
Oh, that's that
kind
right,
of feel, yeah. But it's just got obviously more of a green push to it, like the little highlights, the little coloured highlights behind John Pertwee has got like a green glow to them and that sort of thing. But it looks really nice, and obviously the booklet that comes inside. You've got the little fold-out Velcro-y bit. Yeah, that's really nice. It's got like a jungle feel to it from one of the stories, obviously, which I assume is what's that? The Green Death, probably.
I think Carnival. It's the Dalek one.
Planet of the Daleks, that's right.
I can't see the actual picture. Hang on, let me have a look. Oh, not sure.
Yeah, it's one of the two. It's the Green Death or it's Planet of the Daleks. But
I can't see the picture clear enough. But yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, so it's all got a very nice green feel to it, and obviously the three, is it 3 or 6 discs that it falls across? Yes, disc 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think. Yep. Some really nice designs on it. We've got Omega on there and. The 3 Doctors one looks as you would expect, but just with a nice greeny background and all that. So yeah, it looks really nice. Mr. Lee Binding has done another super job with these. Just they're coming thick and fast now, because when we spoke about these, I think it was a few episodes back, we said, oh yeah, the next one will probably be July, maybe August, and then we'll probably have one at the end of the year. So this one, well, we're hearing rumblings of June anyway, sort of early to mid-June. So I would probably say that we'll get at least another one this year.
Yes, I would think so. Yeah, I reckon we'll get that. I think McCoy's rumoured, and it is only a rumour, but I think season 27 would be lovely. I think this looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous packaging, as you'd expect. I'm glad they're carrying on with the limited edition, because we did hear rumblings that they were going to stop those, didn't we? Do you remember they said, the next couple are going to be limited and they're going to standard releases, and everyone was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm glad that so far that seems to be false. I mean, I can't see why they would do that, because they know that's just going to annoy people. You can't have, we want all our box sets all, in unison. We don't want them all mixed up. So, yeah, but packaging looks fantastic. I can't wait for this. I hope we get another BFI screening. Be great to see Pertwee on the big screen, won't it?
Oh, it would. Yeah.
I'm sure they'll do one.
I'm sure. Yes. Yeah. So you can pre-order this now. I'll put a link in the show notes, or if you just nip over to Amazon, you need to do a search for Doctor Who The Collection Season 10 packaging. That's how they've worded it at the moment. So that'll obviously change a little bit once they confirm all the details. But they have put a few things on there. So they've put the episodes you're going to get, plus some of the special features, optional updated effects, and 5.1 surround sound for Planet of the Daleks, which sounds good. Doctor Who and the Third Man, which is a new feature-length documentary about the Pertwee era itself. Keeping Up with the Joneses, Katie Manning and Stuart Bevan return to Wales.
Oh,
and
cool.
The Green Death 1973 Omnibus Repeat, available for the first time, and much more, it says. So we've got a few details that have trickled through. There's no price yet. It's probably going to be around the £40-ish mark when it finally gets close to release. So at the moment, you can get it on Amazon. I'd imagine over the next couple of weeks, when all this gets confirmed and the BBC officially do a thing, you'll be able to find it over at zoom.co.uk. They normally do a good price on it. And
they're normally very good.
Yeah, and delivery, you should get it on the day or even a day earlier from Zoom or Amazon, whatever. But you can order it at the minute. You can go over to Amazon and say, email me when it comes out. So they at least have got an upcoming thing. So you can't actually hit the actual order button, but you can hit the email me button and you'll get an email from Amazon when it jumps on. But it should go up very soon, I would imagine.
Yeah, and take this with an absolute pinch of salt, but it does, I've just noticed very small writing there, it does give a provisional date of the 8th of July.
Oh, they've just changed it. Yeah,
they've just changed it. Yeah. I was going to say, take that with a pinch of salt. No doubt that will change and whatever, but yes.
I've just refreshed as we've been talking, and they've already updated it. So this is good from Amazon. So they've gone straight in with $39.99 because normally they'll say, oh, it's 55 quid. And then you expect the price to tumble down closer to release. But they've gone in with the actual price, it would seem, for once.
They're actually updating this as we're on air because I've just refreshed and that's all changed for me as well. So it's now written in big letters, the July the 8th, whereas just now it was just a tiny little bit. And so, okay, well, that's cool. Yeah, I know what you mean about the price. They normally put some ridiculous price, $59.99, and then it goes down. Yeah, but they've gone straight in with $39.99, which is fantastic, actually.
Yes. So ignore what I've just said about the email me button, all that lot. There is now a nice big pre-order button on there, so you can get that pre-order at $39.99, and then the wording is now correct. Doctor Who: The Collection, Season 10. So yeah, good times, mate, for the old... and one thing that I will say, and we have this on Twitter every single time one of these box sets gets released. If you like the look of it, order it, because it will be, because Pertwee is a very popular Doctor, obviously, and I've seen, well, about a week after these get released, Adam and I always see a load of tweets saying, oh, I should have got this looks really gorgeous, why didn't I pick this up, all the rest of it. If you like it and you have the beans in your pocket, put a pre-order in so you don't miss it.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to miss out on this one. I'm just wondering if they do a BFI screening, I wonder which story they'll choose. I would love it to be the Three Doctors.
The Three Doctors, that'd be amazing.
I would just absolutely, to see that on the big screen would be amazing. So
it would.
Yeah. Exciting times, good stuff, isn't it?
Indeedy, mate. Yes.
Really pleased. That's all official, and yeah, it's all there now, so we can actually get excited about it, which is cool.
Yeah. Right, that's done for merch. Review time, buddy. What are we going to do this week?
Yeah, so recently released, recently animated. It's the second Doctor story, The Macra Terror.
Doctor, this colony was founded many centuries ago by our ancestors who came from the Earth planet, like your young friend. Our ancestors believed in the virtues of healthy happiness, and we have tried to keep their ideals alive. Sometimes, alas, it is necessary to use force.
Keep your eyes skinned.
Why? What's the matter?
They're a weird sort of folk.
Keep watch on your friends. And if you see anything suspicious, report to me immediately.
Yes, pilot.
Creatures. Best in this camp at night.
Have you seen them clearly?
Who is control? It's safe. There is nothing here.
You must obey orders. The leaders of the colony know what is best. You will question nothing in the colony.
Ren has come under the control of the evil forces at the heart of this colony.
Can't hide the truth.
Have fun while you can, before they crawl all over you!
Happy sleep time, everybody.
Coming to you via Hollywood, the makers of the Marvel action movies, The Macra.
What a great trailer.
Now, you may be wondering what cool fan worked up that cool fan trailer.
Yeah.
But to surprise you, that's the official trailer from the BBC.
Brilliant. Wow, they did good. BBC did good. It's an awesome trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
They're crawling all over you. Yeah.
Rightio, The Macra Terror. This was first released back in 1967. March through to April. It's a 4-parter. It was written by Ian Stewart Black, directed by John Davis, and was overseen by Jerry Davis. And recently released as of the end of March in the newly animated form, all 4 parts, over DVD, Blu-ray, etc. And the story for this one is the second Doctor with Jamie and Ben and Polly arrive at a colony, and they at first glance seem quite impressed because it's a very happy place. Everybody's dancing and singing and larking about. It's all very nice. But soon things go awry when they find out that the people at the colony have actually been brainwashed by these giant crab-like creatures known as the Macra.
Mm.
And so they need this particular gas that the people mine to keep the Macra alive, and it's down to the Doctor and those guys to stop that stuff.
Yeah.
So I've only seen this once. Last night I watched all 4 parts together. I know you saw it at the BFI, and you've seen this in black and white again. Blah blah blah. So you've got a good overview of this story. What do you reckon?
It's still in my head. Hours later, after watching it, it's still
so
there.
Was the little buzz when the controller comes on the screen, that little jingle as well.
Yeah. So Macra Terror. Well, I like this a lot. I don't think it's the best story in the world in terms of script and all that, but I think there's some great stuff in this. And I think, if anything, because I mean, it's always a shame when you sort of can't see the real thing, and I guess animation's the best sort of alternative to that. But I actually think this story really suits the animation. I think, if anything, it probably slightly benefits from it, because watching the few surviving clips from this story, and Annika said this at the BFI, like the crab, it looks great in the animation. So in a way, I guess, there's some improvements been made to it. So I enjoy this a lot. And I never really knew this story, so I've never read the book. I've never listened to the audio. I've never watched what is it they call the retcon, the screenshot thingy. So it's all new to me. So the first time watching it was like watching a new story, really. And something about Pat as well, something about the second Doctor just lends itself very well to the animation, I think, because he's so quirky and fun as the Doctor. So I think he actually works really well on animation. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this. And as I said, I actually really like the color version. I've watched both now, and it looks good in black and white and stuff. But yeah, it's a nice little story. It does slightly drag in places, but I mean, that's just a thing of the times. So I did wonder while watching this, though, because we know that they cut the rough and tumble scene, which there was a big outcry about one there. They cut that. They couldn't animate it because it's too expensive, or they didn't have enough time. And I was sort of thinking, oh, that's a shame. I mean, I didn't really know that scene, so I couldn't really get as upset about it as people that did know about it. But it did make me wonder how much they should keep it as close to sort of transmission. Because watching this again yesterday, and I still really enjoyed it, there are bits where sort of nothing's happening, or scenes are just sort of 10 to 20 seconds too long because there's just a silence or some clunking. And I was kind of thinking, if they tightened this up, if they got rid of sort of 5 seconds of silence here where they've had to sort of animate because they can't tell what's going on, so they'll just do a shot of Jamie looking round, and it seems to go on for a long time. I was sort of thinking, it's a hard choice because you want it to be kept as close to the original soundtrack as possible, but I couldn't help but think, if they took some liberties with it and just tightened up little bits like that, so instead of having him rattle the key for what feels like forever, you could just have him do that and get in. It would be an absolutely cracking story. And I do think it is, but I couldn't help but think in my head, where do they take liberties and where don't they when it comes to these things? Because they decided to cut that rough and tumble scene, but then they keep in lots of other bits. You sort of think, I don't know, just some scenes just seem to go on so long because they're keeping it structured to the audio. And I sort of think, I don't know, sometimes it could have cut a bit of that silence or where absolutely nothing's happening. And it really, if you did that, the story would flow so well, I think. But then again, as a purist Doctor Who fan, you kind of want it as close to the original release as possible, don't you? So I don't know. It just struck me as I was going through. I was like, I don't know where you draw the line with that, really. But yeah. Anyway, overall, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good story. I thought the animation was a good step up from Power. It certainly flows a lot better in movement, and I think it works very well. I think it's quite watchable. So, yeah, it gets a thumbs up from me. Over to you.
Yeah, it's going to get a thumbs up from me as well.
Yay.
Yeah, I think it's a cool little story, actually. It's got a really nice suspenseful feel to it. There's a big sense of growing
threat.
Threat from the Macra themselves, but also the brainwashing element plays a nice role in the story where you have a few key people that resist that. So the Doctor and Jamie are one of them, and Polly. But then you also have the pilot. He also sort of comes to his senses towards the end, and but then you have the other people who are sort of not as strong-minded or strong-willed, like the Ben. Obviously, he's about halfway through. He falls foul to it, and also who's the chief of police? I can't remember the names of these people. As usual.
No. Even watching last night, I was thinking the same. Yeah.
So whoever the chief of police was, I think it was. Crikey, I think it's either Questa or Sooner.
Are you talking about the big guy, the guy who's Ola?
Oh, Ola, that of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be absolutely shocking with names all the way through this. But yeah,
you've only watched it once, to be fair.
Yeah. So he's very adamant that the Macra are no such thing, and he's going to take everybody out and stuff. So you have that element as well, which sort of compounds the issue of them trying to solve the Macra problem. And then you have the gas problem as well. The Macra need it, but it's poisonous to the humans. So, and all that stuff. And it all kind of builds up into this nice kind of climax as well, if you like, which is a good thing for Classic Who, because occasionally there's a little bit of a quick ending that wraps up a bit too quick and then they're on their way. And so, yeah, it's a good little story. I don't think it's, like you said, I don't think it's, well, it's definitely not the best Troughton story from his era, but it's certainly not... it's a really good watch, actually. And the animation side of it does give you a different perspective on things because, as you alluded to earlier, I think having some of the older effects from Classic Who, on one hand, it does provide a really nice charm to the old classic stuff. I would imagine that the big claws and stuff would have been relatively easy to put together for the designers and stuff, but having like full-size Macra wandering around would have been, very ropey visually.
Yeah.
So, so having that stuff to flesh out the visuals in the story and just the overall quality of the animation's pretty good. And so it does provide a different perspective on watching Doctor Who, especially the classic stuff. Yeah.
When I'm watching it as well, and I'm sure you're the same, I keep wondering in my head how that would have looked.
Yes.
Like you said, like there's the bit where the 3 or 4 crabs are all closing in on Polly and stuff, and I'm thinking, now, how did they do that back then? Because it looks great in the animation, and I know they've slightly changed, very very sort of slightly tweaked the sort of design of the Macra, and I know a friend of mine wasn't particularly happy about that they didn't sort of keep it closer to, there's a few photos floating around of the actual prop and stuff, and it's got these big bug eyes and things, but I don't know, I think they look quite good. I think they've slightly tweaked it, but I think without changing it too much, so I think they look quite good actually. And I do think for the most part it flows quite nicely. I think episode 3 perhaps, and this is so often the case, I think, is the one that struggles.
Yeah.
Because there's an awful lot of Jamie sort of wandering around this room with all the gas. And the Macra seems to be sort of slowly chasing him, for want of a better word, sort of following him really, really slowly. And that for me went on too long. I was thinking, gosh, and again, it seemed like the animators were struggling to sort of do that because there was lots of shots of Jamie just sort of looking. It was as if they got the audio but didn't really know what was going on. So episode 3, I think, is the one that suffers the worst, but it's still watchable. But on the flip side of that, episode 4, I think is brilliant. It really, everything just kicks in. It really flows. The pacing seems to go up a notch. Everything's getting resolved. There's action. The animation's very fluid. And it just wraps everything up, like you said, really, really nicely. We get some lovely scenes and, like the bit with Jamie creeping into the room and they mistake him for a dancer. And I think episode 4 is brilliant. See, I liked the first episode, and I thought the last episode really, really good. It does take a bit of a dip in the middle, I think, but a lot of stories do. But it still was enough to keep me sort of watching. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And that's normally the bit where it's almost it's very similar to books and authors. There's this saying that writing the start of a book is really exciting and great, and writing the ending is great. But then this thing called the middle marathon, which can sometimes plague a lot of the stories from Classic Who in today's viewing habits. Anyway, like we've said many times, back in the day when you were left wanting and you were watching this with 7 days in between each one, it's not so bad because your mind, depending on how absorbed you were by the story, your mind kind of leaves out some of the bits anyway. So you only remember like the key points from the last episode, unless they do like a little recap. But so that's not too bad. But when you're binge watching, as we do these days, that's when that middle marathon bit sometimes sapped your energy a little bit, and you tend to reach for Instagram or Twitter a little bit while you're watching and stuff like that. But I wasn't really tempted to do that with this one, just because there was a couple of scenes. I think you just mentioned the bit where Jamie's in the tunnels in episode 3.
Yeah.
And they're going through the whole directing the gas, in the right way and so on. And you can tell that in the original recording, there would have been stuff happening with Jamie, but the audio is just him like a little gasp here and there.
Yeah, it's like a little clunk, and then what was that? Yeah,
footsteps and stuff like that. So the animators do have to take some kind of creative license a little bit and just say, right, we envisage that he would be doing this in the tunnel. He's trying to be stealthy in a way. The Macra's down there and that kind of thing. But yeah, it does kind of drag a little bit, I suppose, and to that degree. But overall, though, before we talk about cast members, did you like the story? Because the story part of it is fairly simplistic in a way, isn't it? There's, like I said, there's the two main elements. You have the creature, the typical creature feature, Doctor Who, where it's a big giant monster. In this case, it's a crab. The Macra, they're doing their thing, and they're trying to control the humans because the humans are providing the gas for them to survive. So they're brainwashing them. And then you got the second bit, which is the humans themselves, the brainwashed humans that are trying to close down the outspoken, the guy who the brainwashing doesn't seem to. Is it Medoc?
Medoc, yeah. He's at the start, isn't he?
Yeah. So the brainwashing's not having any effect on him. He's really strong-minded. So they're trying to close him down and stop him from spreading, in their opinion, the propaganda and stuff. They're trying to keep everyone in line. Did you think the story worked? Because it's like a two-pronged effect, really.
No, I did actually, because I thought they used some good, simple ideas, but to great effect. So, because one of the things when it started, it's a bit of a sort of crowded TARDIS, I think, having Jamie and Ben, because they're quite feisty characters. I wouldn't say they're the same character, because they're not. They're very different, but they've both got that I'll get in there and sort it kind of attitude.
All right, mate. Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
sweet.
all right, mate.
All right.
I'm gonna give him one on the nose and all that. And Jamie's like, hey, I'm gonna give him one on the nose. So I was thinking, okay, how's that gonna work? Because you got two very similar sort of personalities, if you like. But the story takes that, and because they make Ben hypnotized and Jamie not, you get a really good dynamic there. And I thought, oh, that's good, because I must admit, I kind of thought they were going to get a bit lost in the story at the start. I thought they're just going to end up getting split up and running from the crab and Macra. And, so when they did that thing of making Ben hypnotized and Jamie trying to sort of say to him, come on, what do you do? I thought, that's good. That works really well. And I expected the hypnotism to wear off really quickly. So I thought he'd be hypnotized and then the Doctor would shake him out of it. But they actually carry it all the way through the story. And that, again, works really, really well, because it gives Ben something to do, and it gives some nice scenes between Ben and the Doctor. Like, when the Doctor kind of visits him in the lab or whatever, and he's just saying, how you doing, Ben? And he's like, still hypnotized then? And he's like, yeah, but the Doctor sees he's slightly starting to see, to overcome it, but not enough. He suddenly snaps back into it. And so I did think that worked really well in the story. It's a very simple idea, but it was used to good effect. And it does then split up those two rather than having Ben and Jamie both punching Macra here, there. You know what I mean? It does take them in different directions. And it makes it quite interesting. So yeah, I did think the story was good, and I love all the stuff about having this sort of, you got the colony, which could be quite boring, but actually there is a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
So the Macra are using them, and I think that's quite interesting to do with all the gas. So I like the fact they've got this thing hidden in the basement that, you know, the Macra does not exist, which gives a great caption, doesn't it? A great what's the word? Like London 1965, the thing that people love to say. What's the word for that?
A good hashtag.
Hashtag, yeah. And so that's really cool. So I love all that stuff to do with the Macra. And I like the fact they've got this big face on the big screen as well, because it adds a sense of mystery.
Yeah.
And there is a scene, and I bet you were laughing because I was, that scene where they drag that poor old man on. You know, when they demand to see the real
Real controller, yeah.
We demand to see him. They're like, yeah, bring him on. And then there's this, because I didn't understand what's happening the first time I watched this. It's like, well, who's he meant to be? And then watching it again last night, I think what they've done is they've just dragged one of the workers on, I assume, or something, to just like said, go on, you pretend to be him or something. I don't know, but I thought that was quite funny, wasn't it? Because then you see the poor old guy get dragged off with the claw, don't you? He hasn't done the good enough job, so it all goes to pot. I don't know if it's meant to be funny, but I
don't think it is. No.
No, all right then. Just my terrible sense of humor. But I did think that scene was quite funny. Just like, go on, you're the control. Go on, say something, and they're like going mad at him and stuff.
Well, that's one of the popular photos that have survived from the original recordings. Is that old guy, the controller?
Yes,
because you see the full size prop of the Macra claw they made and stuff, and and he actually looks a lot like what's the actor's name? Mackenzie Crook. He looks a lot like him, but just an old version.
He does. So if they ever refilm this, like they're doing with the what's the one that they're redoing? Anyway, if they ever refilm it, he'll be a good casting for that. It does look like him.
Yeah. So I found that hilarious, where it's just this petrified old guy.
Just push him in front of the camera. Go on, pretend, say something.
And to be honest with you, I know that we've praised the animation and all that stuff. I think that's the little tiny bits like that, I think are the only moments where I wished that we could have seen the actual footage. And I'll tell you why, because when they say, as you said, they insist that they see the actual controller and not just a face on the screen. And then when they show this old guy, who's obviously not the controller, he's just some brainwashed old dude who could be anybody.
Yeah,
it would have been really great to see Troughton's facial expression at that point, because he would have known instantly that that's not who they say it is.
Yeah,
and he's already seen through the ruse anyway. But it would have been great because Troughton's got that amazing ability, hasn't he, to show that kind of frowny.
Oh, he had an amazing face, didn't he, Troughton?
Yeah, that kind of sort of wrinkly nose, almost frowny. You know, I'm not impressed face sort of thing. So it would have been amazing to see his reaction, which you can't really do, and they didn't do at all in animation. You just saw the back of their heads looking at the screen. But that's just it's a minor quibble, really. It would just been nice to have seen his reaction to that. But no, in story wise, I was quite impressed with the story, because sometimes, and especially with a crowded TARDIS crew, sometimes you can be a little bit too. You can try and do too much almost. And sometimes it's good to just keep things fairly simple. You've got essentially two lots of tasks going on. And like you said, it works really well having Ben kind of switch allegiance to the other side, as it were, and him to go off and be brainwashed and do all that stuff. Because, Jamie and Ben, you can imagine those two just always being in the pub having a pint. Having very similar conversations and being very similar. So to have them act very differently throughout, well, for the last half of the story anyway, that works really well. And then you just have Polly, who's just screams a little bit. And
she's probably the one that comes off the worst, I think, Polly, which is a shame. That again does often happen, I think, in this sort of era. It's a bit of a shame because she is a bit lost. But I do agree about Ben though, because it's nice because it puts him in the right place to save them at the end, doesn't he? When he starts switching all the dials, so it does all come round really nicely. It does all come around full circle. I do think the animation's a step up as well. I really, because they said they were given.
Shada.
Actually, well, no, Sharda was. I keep forgetting about Sharda. No, I was thinking more Power.
Oh, Power, of course. Yeah,
but you're right. Yeah, Sharda came after, didn't it? Sharda was good. Mm-hmm. Sharda was good, but I think this. They said they had twice as long to do it as Power.
Yes,
and I think it really shows because I like a lot of the stuff in Power, but some of the movement, like the Doctor seems to sort of shuffle across the screen when he walks, whereas they are more fluid in their motions in this. You can tell they've had more time to do it. It really does show. I still think the Moon Base might be my favourite animation. I really like that. It's a different company, I think, that did it, but I think this is definitely a step up. I think it's nice that they were given more time. I think it really shows.
Yeah, it's definitely more fluid. You can tell that. They've perfected the motion a little bit more. It does still feel a little, although the motion between the scenes, between characters and how they move around the scene, it is more fluid. I still feel that it's still a little bit static. Still.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
even when you have characters who are running down a corridor, or the bit where Ben's whacking the Macra with a stick, when it's got Polly, and when they're outside, that still feels a bit slow and laboured.
Yeah,
so maybe that was an influence in them deleting that scene from episode 1. Because
I'm sure it was.
Yeah, because the animator or the producer did say that that it just would have been too difficult to animate effectively. I think is what he's saying. That they're saying that they could have done it, but it probably would have looked really ropey and just not really, because if you think about animation in any other form outside of this, especially nowadays, it's really it's fast paced and there's motion blur and there's visual effects and everything over it. With this, because it's so it is quite laboured in its movement, to have that, I don't know, the rough and tumble machine, that does sound quite manic just for a few seconds.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know what all I know about the scene that they didn't animate was that I think they basically get a makeover in this machine. So I don't know how, I haven't heard the audio, so I don't know what's going on. I can only imagine that they sort of step it in and then rough and tumble. I don't know. I can just imagine, again, it comes back to what you're saying about Troughton. I can imagine he's sort of pulling some faces. He's getting sort of cleaned up. What's Jamie? I don't know. I can imagine it. I wish it was there, but I can totally see why they didn't do it. And I wonder if I would have noticed if I hadn't been told. Like, because it was in Doctor Who magazine that said, this scene has been cut and I'm thinking, because it does fade to black, and there's two bits in episode 1 where it just fades to black.
Yeah.
Which is not unusual for this period, because they used to do that. But I might be wrong, but I didn't notice it in any other part of the story. I'm thinking, I wonder if I would have picked up on it if I didn't know. Because I think I would have done, because I'd have been like, why does it fade to black so quickly? I don't know, but I wish it was there, but I'd rather have the story as it is than not have it at all, if you know what I mean. Or I'd rather, like they probably said, I'd rather have it like this than have a really bad bit in the middle where you think, that just looks terrible, especially as it's at the start of the story. Yeah. It can sort of get you off onto bad footing. So I do get why they cut it. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think it comes down to, does it add, if they're on a budget anyway, which they certainly are, even though they had more time to do it, they were absolutely still on a tight budget, it sounds.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think it comes down to, does that scene, however fun and quirky it might be, does it add anything to the story? Does it move the story plot along sufficiently to include it? And if not, then, it had to go. But it's just, this happens all the time, though. So any Lord of the Ring fans will know that in episode 1, The Fellowship of the Ring, they cut out a massive chunk of the book. So in the Lord of the Rings book, there's a bit where Frodo and the hobbits are going across and they come across this character called Tom Bombadil in the forest. And they spend days and days with him. And there's a whole massive chunk, but they cut all that out from the film. And all the fans were, well, not all the fans, but a portion of fans were going nuts over that. But Peter Jackson's argument was, well, it doesn't add anything to the story. It doesn't move the plot along in any way, shape or form. It's just a nice little character piece that does influence the story. So it's a similar thing, if it doesn't, you don't look back at the story and think, this all links back to the rough and tumble machine.
Yeah,
it's never mentioned again, and it's never referenced. It's just a quirky, fun little scene. But one thing I will say though is that the animators on it got a bit of stick over it. A lot of fans went to Twitter and went to town on them a little bit. It's
Doctor Who fans going to Twitter.
Exactly.
I know there was a bit of a hoo-ha about it. I think it's because I wish I knew more about the scene. I think it had something to do with the Doctor's costume changing, which I don't think it really does in the story. I think they keep his costume the same, but I have a feeling, and I could be wrong because like I said, I don't know. I have a feeling it was something to do with the Doctor basically gets a makeover, so he gets a change of costume, and I think that's why people wanted to see that. It's a bit like the Doctor going into the TARDIS wardrobe. It's like that scene that everyone loves. Oh, the Doctor's getting a new costume. So I kind of get why people would want to see it. But as I said, I don't know enough about the scene to really sort of comment on it, really. One thing I wanted to ask you, though, what did you think of the actual likeness? Because, this Troughton animation, I would say, looks different facially to Power. And he also looks different to the animation from Moonbase because it's different people animating Moonbase and stuff. So, but what did you think of the likeness to Troughton and Ben and Polly and Jamie? Did you think there was a good likeness there, especially Troughton because he's got such a iconic face, for want of a better word? He is hard. He must be hard to animate, Troughton.
Yes, I think that Troughton certainly looked very good. I think they got his likeness pretty much down. And the other person I thought was Jamie. I thought Jamie looked
not
good.
Bad, yeah.
Not sure about Ben and Polly. I think for me, Ben, the way that they did his facial features, he looked very similar to some of the other characters in animated form, especially, this is going to sound very weird, but the big face they put on the screen.
Yeah, I can see that. Actually,
if you take the hair away, so facial, because they obviously had a visual style that they kind of adapted slightly for each of the colonists and so on. And I think Ben, it's okay, but his facial expression blends in a lot with those other colonists.
Yeah,
and Polly, she's pretty good. Yeah, the likeness is pretty there for in some.
I was going to say Polly's the one I think Polly's the one I would say they didn't get right. For one, well, they got it right, but I think she looks the less like Polly because, and I don't know if it's just the hair because she's got her hair tied back or short in this, and I just don't think of Polly like that. Annika said at the screening, and I did feel sorry for the animators. She was quite not rude in any way, but she was very honest about the fact that she felt her character wasn't a particularly good likeness to her.
Right.
But I do have to agree with her. I mean, it's perfectly fine for what it is, and it works, and it looks good, and all that. But I do have to agree that I don't see Polly particularly in that animation. I can see Troughton, I can see Jamie, I can just about see Ben, but Polly, I just don't think they quite got facially right in it. It's not a bit like you said earlier. It's a very minor quibble because it's no big deal at all. But yeah, I just don't look at it and think, yeah, there's a bit of Polly in there. It just doesn't look like Polly to me. But yeah, but the rest I do. I think Troughton looks good. I think they've got a good enough likeness to Troughton. And I love the way he's just wandering through this story right from the start, just putting everything right, and he just right from the start, the Doctor's in the thick of it, just going from room to room, letting people out of prison and chatting, sussing everything out, and that's just the second Doctor for you. He's just awesome like that.
He is, yeah. And going back to Polly, I think I wasn't too fussed with Polly. I didn't think she looked a million miles off. I didn't think the character in animated form looked a million miles off. But yeah, I can see what you mean. It's not. So I think her and Ben are the weaker ones.
Yeah, I think Annika said something about the eye colour being wrong, but of course that wouldn't be it with me because I wouldn't be able to tell anyway because of my colour blindness. But I think Annika said, my eyes are whatever colour, green and they're blue, and I think she was a bit put out that they hadn't got her eye colour right or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, but it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but I think they could slightly improve that on the next release if they do another Polly one.
Yes, indeed. But no, I thought the Doctor and Jamie looked pretty good though.
When you watch that Wheel in Space, again, they look slightly different. And I assume it's the same animation team, but Jamie looks a little different in the Wheel in Space one, and I think in a way I slightly prefer it. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on that when you've watched it.
The little Wheel in Space little mini.
Yeah, because again, even and Troughton looks a bit different as well. I'm assuming it's the same team, but yeah, they look slightly different in that. As does the TARDIS. It's a different shade of blue and stuff. And yeah, interesting to see what you think of that.
Yes.
And Polly's not in it, so we can't compare her.
Yeah, true. Okay, so what did you think? So no other story bits. So it's a fairly simple story that we said. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The animation, we've gone through that. Let's breeze through a few characters then. So there's quite a sizable supporting cast.
There is,
more than others. What did you think to Medoc then, Terence Lodge?
Yeah, it's very hard to say, isn't it, to judge a character's by just the audio. I mean, I know we've got the animation, but yes, I thought it was good. A good character. What actually happens to him? Because he kind of gets interrogated, doesn't he? After he's escaped and all that, there's a scene of him getting interrogated, and I can't remember what happens to him after that. Does he get thrown to the Macra or something?
He dies.
Does he die?
Medoc, yeah.
Yeah, I think he gets thrown to the Macra, didn't he?
He does, yeah. Sorry, he gets killed down in the, when he goes down into the old-fashioned, Jamie goes into the unrestricted mine or shaft, or whatever it is. Medoc goes in there, and he gets killed, doesn't he? That's it. Yeah, he gets killed by one of the Macra because Jamie finds him.
Yeah, I thought he did. I mean, I only watched this last night, for goodness sake. I just shows that about my memory. But I was just trying to think in my head, what actually ended up with that character. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I thought he was a strong. I like the fact he has these cool little outbursts, and he's very strong-willed. He's not succumbed to the brainwash and all the rest of it. And even though he's wasting his breath, it feels like he must feel he's still, he's yelling and screaming. And yeah, so that was his voice in the trailer, wasn't it? At the end
they're all over me. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought he was a good character, and it is kind of difficult because we've only got 50% of their performance, haven't we? So
I know you can only really judge it by the voice, can't you? Because the animation we've talked about, but you can only really judge their performance by the voice.
Yes.
But let's just say he wasn't. It sounded like he was giving a good performance. He wasn't going over the top.
Yeah.
Particularly, he wasn't doing a theatrical David Collins performance, from what we can tell.
Yes. Yeah. What about Ola then, the chief of police?
See, I thought he was good. It is hard to judge. I mean, his acting may have been terrible, but from the audio, he sounded good. Again, I think with a part like that, you're sort of playing almost the pantomime villain a little bit, aren't you? You're playing the big baddie. And some people take that and I think go way over the top with it. Yeah, but he sounded to me like he was keeping it pretty level. You know what I mean? It sounded like he was enough of a sort of a bolshy sort of character, but without being too sort of I'm the big bad guy. So he sounded to me like he was doing a pretty good job. Who was the actual actor?
Gerton Klauber.
Oh, I thought it'd be a name I knew. I don't know why the animation just kind of looked like I might know the actor, but I'm clicking on him now and I don't actually. Although he did quite a lot actually, didn't he? I don't know that name. Gerton Klauber.
He's one of those actors that he's no longer with us sadly, but over the years he had a lot of small parts in some big films.
Yeah, he's been in loads.
Yeah, and they got his likeness pretty well done actually. I would say, looking at some production photos of the actual actor from the episodes, they actually got him. They got him pretty well.
I liked all his suit and stuff. With all this, he's got quite a good career behind him. I mean, I don't know who he was in these films, but he was in a lot of the Carry-Ons and a lot of the James Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Blackadder the Third. I'll have to look out for him in that. Episode 6. Right, I'll remember that next time I'm watching it. Because I don't know his name at all, and it's quite an unusual name. You'd think it'd stick in your brain, wouldn't it? That name. So I shall look out for him next time I'm watching Blackadder. But I liked his character. I thought he was a good sort of not baddie really, is he? But he's keeping control of stuff, and I thought he was good. Like that scene when Jamie dances out the room, which I really like, and then he's on the other side of the door. He's quite an imposing figure, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I think I think he worked well as that.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. And I'm really sorry, I can't remember some of the other characters and their names, because I know we had a couple of people who were just assistants who either Ola or the pilots, escort them to their rooms, whatever, and they've only got one line or so. But so I think we should just jump straight to. What about the voice of the Macra then? The Macra operator.
Yeah, it's hard to voice a Macra crab, isn't it? Because what do you go with? Do you go with? I think it works quite well. Because I mean, if you compare it to the voice of the spiders in Planet of the Spiders, they went with a very high, and I'm not sure it kind of took away a bit of the threat, I always think. So I think whoever was doing the voice of the Macra kind of suited it. I mean, I don't know what kind of voice you do for a deadly giant crab, but I think it works quite well, actually. It does sound a little maybe posh, if you know what I mean. It's very much of that era, isn't it? Oh, don't let them in. It's a little, it sounds a bit like a grumpy old man, really. But I quite liked it.
He was the voice of the Dalek operators in the Cushing movies.
Is he?
Yeah,
Who is it then? What's the name?
It's Robert Jewell.
Robert Jewell. Okay, yeah. No, I thought the voice was good for the Macra.
Yeah.
Maybe it should have been modulated a little bit more. It did sound quite human. That's the only thing I would say. Perhaps they should have made it sounded a little bit more alien-like.
Yes, you read my mind there. It's it's basically he's an Australian actor, but I think he's putting on quite a British accent.
He sounded British, yeah. He sounded, yeah.
Yeah, it's essentially a British guy sitting in a chair with a little tumbler of whiskey, next to a fire. That's what it sounds like. So it would have been nice to have applied some kind of effect to the voice to, I don't know, to gravel it up a little bit or make him a bit more. I know you can't, it's extremely difficult to make a voice crab-like. I'm not saying, because what does a crab talk? It's impossible, but, to give it some kind of alien feel to it, I suppose. But it did get a lot more intense in episode 4. As he was,
definitely starts screaming his head off.
Yeah, as he was trying to it was a bit of a Wizard of Oz moment, I found. In the Wizard of Oz, when they go back, he sends them off to get there to do the tasks, and if they come back, he'll get a heart, he'll get a brain.
Yeah.
There's a bit where they're really miffed at him, and he's behind the curtain, and he's like, "Pay no attention to the person behind the curtain," and all that. It's a little bit like that. There's no such thing in the corridor. The Macra are not real, so it's got a bit of an old school, I don't know,
Wizard of that era.
Moment. Yeah. It's kind of cool, but anyway, what about The Pilot by Peter Jeffrey?
I liked The Pilot. Yeah. I like The Pilot. I like The Pilot because I felt like he kind of he was in the torn, wasn't he? He was right in the middle of like the Doctor and Ola. Of like, I kind of believe the Doctor, but Ola's like standing over me, giving me the evils, and I don't know. And so I quite like The Pilot. I'm glad he sided with the Doctor in the end.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could have all turned very nasty. But no, I thought it was okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, looking at the actual actor's picture from the story.
Oh yeah, let's have a look at him.
They did kind of get him as well. They definitely got the face and the hair and stuff. That was pretty decent likeness as well, which is good. And I thought, his performance was good. I really liked his character. You could tell that he was. It was that moment where you were almost shouting at the screen, like, "You can do it! Break free of the brainwashing!"
Yeah. Tell Olga to do one, or whatever his name is. Yeah. Ola, sorry. Tell Ola to go and do one. Stand up to him.
It did have that element of like, you can do it. You can break free. So that's cool. I mean, that's cool writing, though. That's, Ian Stewart Black. I thought the script was pretty decent for
it was.
For what it was, yeah. And then we had, who was the character of Barney? Who's Barney?
Barney?
Played by Graham Armitage.
I don't know. I don't remember Barney.
I honestly can't remember. He's probably a very key character, and our listeners will be like, "What's wrong with you two? It was this guy." I don't know. There was a very small part, a guy called Quester, who was one of the guys who was basically Medoc's best buddy, and he was trying to coax him back into being happy and
Yes.
and brainwash and stuff. That was okay. And then other
Was
than
Barney
that,
was Barney the dance guy? I don't think he was. I'm clutching at straws here. But there's a chap doing all the dance classes who's very pleased when Jamie walks in. And he's like, "Oh, are you here for the dance class? Good. Let's see you dance." Maybe that was Barney. I've no reason to believe it was. I just wanted to mention that character, really.
I think he was. Yeah, he was like the leader of the band or the cheerleader sort of thing. Yeah.
Oh, right. There you go.
Yeah, because right at the beginning, the pilot, when they're sort of doing a bit of exposition about the colony, it's the pilot that says to Barney, your band's sounding great and all, all that stuff. So I think he's like the leader of the...
Okay, well, it's a complete guess.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, then very quickly, Ben and Polly. I think we've already mentioned that Polly, she kind of falls foul, unfortunately, to a little bit of the early Who female.
Yeah, she's written quite weak, isn't she? It's a shame, because she's just a bit whiny, really. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Because I like the character of Polly, but she doesn't. There's not much meat on the bones for her in this one. I don't think she gets a couple of nice scenes with Pat, but yeah, just a little bit written, a little bit whiny, and a little bit weak. I would
agree. She's like
I can't think of
mechanism,
anything she does really. Yeah. She kind of just follows the Doctor around. It's a shame because I do like Polly.
Yeah, she's just a mechanism for somebody else to come into the scene and do something.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's okay, but she doesn't really do much.
She gets a bit lost in the story as well because I'm really struggling to think of any scenes with her apart from the bit where she's sort of hypnotized very briefly at the start, and then the Doctor's. So yeah, it's a shame. I'm really struggling to think of what Polly did really in this story. I mean, she's there. I can picture her, and I know she's got some nice scenes with the Doctor. But yeah, in terms of sort of the story, she gets a bit lost, I think.
Yeah, she there's a bit where she runs away from Ben, and then she runs into the Macra outside. And
actually, yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned that because that is a great scene. Yeah, that is a good scene where she's caught by the Macra and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Other than that, though, she just screams a little bit, and what about Ben then? Michael Crazy. He's one of the characters, actually, sorry to interrupt. He's one of the characters that would have been really good to see as live action.
Yeah. And he gets something good to do, I think. I think it's a nice story for Ben because he gets to be hypnotized, but it's sort of it's not done in the typical, I have been hypnotized. He's actually hypnotized to do work, and it's made more interesting, I think. He's not just walking around like a zombie. They're sort of being hypnotized into doing something. So I think it's a good little story for Ben. And I love the way he snaps in and out of it. He's so close when the Doctor goes to see him to sort of snapping out of the trance, but then he snaps back into it, doesn't he? So I think it's a good story for Ben.
Yeah. And this was coming up to the end of his run as well. The story the Faceless Ones was his last one. But he is showing us a credit on Series 10, Twice Upon a Time.
Series 10?
Twice Upon a Time, yeah. Who was he in that then?
Well, they did have someone playing the character.
The character, yeah. Sorry, I got my wires crossed there.
I was going to say, I think he's only in it for seconds.
Yeah, sorry. The character, not the actor, sorry. Yeah. But yeah, so this is coming up to the end of his run, I suppose. And he had a fair few episodes, though, throughout Series 4. Yeah.
And I do like the dynamic between Ben and Polly. I think they're quite good, which is why I thought when it lands and you've got Jamie in there, you sort of think, how's that going to work? But it's a good one for Ben, I think.
Yeah. And Fraser Hines then, Jamie.
Fraser.
Typical Jamie?
Yeah, because another scene I would love to see, because I can picture him doing it, is the bit when the guy says to him, show us your dance. He's like, you want to dance, do you? Well, this one's called the Highland Fling because we fling ourselves. And I can see Fraser doing that and making it a really great scene. And it's a great scene in the animation, but that's the scene I'd like to see for real. And I do, I think it's a decent story for Jamie. I love the fact that he's not hypnotized, so it gives him something to do. And I think that works really well. And he gets some great little scenes like the one I just mentioned. And he gets to be around the Macra quite a bit, all the sort of running away, even though it does drag a bit. So, but it's a good one for Fraser, I think, in some ways. Yeah.
Absolutely, mate. Yes.
Yeah.
Typical Jamie for me, just very brash and up for a tear up and all that lot.
Yeah.
And Mr. Troughton then, second Doctor. I know I just said I'd like to have seen Ben as a live action. I think the Doctor, for obvious reasons, is the one character that I wish this story survived. Because Patrick Troughton is just so quirky and his performance is like nothing else, which is the unique quality of each Doctor. But his one is just so cool. And I think they did it to a fairly decent degree, animated-wise. And his voice obviously lends a lot to the humour. And wonderful. So I think it's just such a shame. We could cry tears forever about the lost stories, but it really is a shame that we don't get to see Troughton in this one. And it just is the way he raises his eyebrows sometimes and those little frowns and stuff. It's just so, and the timing's perfect as well. But no, I thought his audio performance and the way it was animated was really good, actually.
That's one good thing, actually, because just listening to his voice, you can sort of in your head picture the sort of faces he'd be pulling, and it is a shame we can't actually see them, but you do. His personality does come across in this, and they've animated him fairly well. But I like the way the Doctor's written in this. He's kind of on the case right from the word go, isn't he? He's sort of puts himself in the middle of it, and there's nice scenes when they're like, and they're two of the prisoners are still missing, and he's sort of stood there and he goes, no, I'm here if you want me. And you can just see Pat doing that. You can visualize it without the animation. So Troughton being brilliant as always, and it is a nice story for the Doctor. I think he really takes control and gets in and sorts out sorts it all out as you want the Doctor to do. So I think it's a good story for the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I like what you said there, because there were plenty of times throughout this story when I had kind of two images going on in my head. I had what I was seeing on the screen, the animated version, but in the back of my mind, subconsciously, I had Troughton's image in my head. My sort of brain filled in the gap between the animation and what he actually did. And I don't know, like all the other stories that we've watched of his one, it kind of put a little catalogue in my head of his different expressions, and it kind of made it up. So that's cool. But he was great as always. Really, really good.
Talking of image in your mind, I know the first time I saw the opening credits, which they've coloured beautifully.
Really good. Yeah.
They look fantastic, I think. But I remember the first time I saw Troughton's face coming through in the opening credits, I thought, oh, that's a bit odd. Because he, in the original one, they sort of used two images. So it's almost like he's got four eyes to begin with. And it does look quite strange in animation. And then watching it again last night, I think actually it really works well, because that is how his opening credits were. It's just strange to see his face coming through in animated form in the opening credits, because they look the same otherwise, don't they? Apart from the animated face.
Yeah. This was the first story that they did that, wasn't it?
Is it?
This is the very first story with the new intro where you got to see the actor's face at the beginning.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is the first one. Yeah.
What? So in the other ones we don't see his face?
No, it's just the strange shapes.
Yeah, vortex or whatever, and then the
title comes on, and then the text, and that's what you get. So this was the very first story to show an actor's face at the beginning.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool then. Yeah, but I liked that, and you agree with me, don't you? The opening credits look fantastic in colour.
I'll tell you what, in colour, I was
vibrant. They're so vibrant.
Yeah. Those really lovely purples and the reds. It just looked beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool. All the black and white purists out there, don't worry about it.
Go on, give it a go. Yeah, just give it a go. Don't be leaving that disc there gathering dust. Have a look at it. It looks great.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Have you got any other points other than the ear-piercing, bloody music?
Is that Dudley Simpson?
What do you think? Of course, it's Mr. Simpson.
Yes, of course, it's Dudley in it.
I thought the rest of the music was actually quite cool. It didn't interrupt the dialogue too much and the flow of the thing, but that bloody repeated thing, the music just...
I know, and it comes in it actually fades out on that as the end as well, doesn't it? Just when you just cement it one last time in your head, it ends on it. No, I'm just looking at my notes. I think we've pretty much covered it, actually. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's you to go first, mate. So
it is me to go first. I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5.
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
I think as a story, it's a 7, but I'm giving a 0.5 for the animation because I think they did a good job, and I think it's an enjoyable story. It's not up there as one of my favourites. I wouldn't say it's an out and out classic, but it's a good, fun little watch. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7?
A 7 out of 10, yeah, because I thought the story and some of that stuff was a 6.5-ish, about middle of the road. But I'll get it another point because the animation is a unique, very cool. And at the end of the day, we've got the story to watch in some shape or form. So
yes,
that's never a bad thing.
No, and as I said, as someone who didn't sort of particularly know anything about the story, it does feel like getting something new, doesn't it? It's like, we've got a new story to watch. So
definitely,
yeah. I hope we get some more.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yes. What did our listeners think? As expected, we didn't get a ton of reviews because we fully understand not everybody's going to pick up this release. We had a few audio reviews in, which is awesome as always. We're going to kick off with our regular reviewer from Down Under. This is Sammy Satine.
Hey, Gary and Adam, Sammy Satine here. So, the Macra Terror. I finally got to find out if there is such a thing as Macra. I watched it at the Doctor Who fan club with a bunch of other Who fans. Nothing quite like that experience. The cliffhangers for this story are great. I haven't seen too many Ben, Polly and Jamie stories. They work well together. I like the Doctor doing maths on the board, something his 12th self will do a lot in the future. I love Patrick Troughton as the Doctor. Bless him. He's great. I give it 8 Macra out of 10. See ya.
8 Macra.
Hey, that's cool. And Sammy got to see it with fellow Doctor Who fans. There is no better way.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
that is awesome. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sammy. Glad you're doing okay. Next up is Luke Malloy.
Hello, Gary and Adam. It's Luke Malloy here, and this week it's the Macra Terror. So, the animation. I never thought I'd find myself enjoying a Troughton or a Hartnell in colour, but I absolutely loved this animation. I did all the best scenes. I did my favourite. I love Jamie's Highland dance scene, which is just great. And the Macra looks so good and so threatening animation, a lot more than if the original tapes had been cut. So that was really interesting to see. And I could find myself watching this version now and watching the story a bit more because it's a bit more of an accessible version than a reconstruction. So I'm really happy with that. As far as story goes, I've always enjoyed the story. It's just a pretty good, pretty different Troughton, full of like one of them classic propaganda stories that's just done pretty well. And I think a lot more people will now watch this one a bit more than they used to because of the animation, which is no bad thing. I give it a 7 out of 10.
And finally, this is Matt Steele.
It's time to face the Macra. Hi, Gary and Adam. It's Matt Steele here again. Hope you guys are well. Had a good week. So the Macra Terror, so pretty much every classic Who story now is going to be new to me. I haven't seen many, but thank you guys for your heads up on the starting sort of few stories to get me into it. So coming to review this one, I found that it was really good. The animation was really good. It was a little bit clunky, but you can really tell that they've put a lot of love and effort into making this the best that they can. And I think I like how Ben, it was all up to Ben in the end to save the day, and the second Doctor always sort of reminds me of Matt Smith out of the 2 stories I've seen so far, but brilliant. I really like it. I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. Cheers, guys.
Over on Twitter, we had a few there. Caitlin said, I like the Macra Terror. The story plot is great. The animation okay, but not as good of animation as The Invasion. But at least it's not like the cheap animation we saw in the episode The Ice Warriors when it was remade. And she gives this story a very accurate 8.6.
8.6, right, okay.
10, yes. Our writer on the website, Jordan Shortman, said, I thought it was pretty good. Wasn't too mad over the animation, but it worked well enough. I've never heard the audio before, so it was like a brand new adventure. And it reminded me why I like the TARDIS team so much. The Macra were good overall. I thought it was okay. Morgan, our friend Morgan says, a cracking story. The Macra are really fun villains, and I think having everyone in the whole colony dedicated to being happy and the same gives a story a nice dystopian-esque backbone. Was lucky to see this at the BFI, and the animation was terrific. Easily the best. 7.6 out of 10. Another very accurate.
Yeah, very accurate scores this week. Yeah.
He goes on to say, as a side note, watching this short watching the story today, I think the way the colony behaves so single-mindedly and excludes outsiders is a nod to a certain group of people who have recently emerged.
Morgan is quite right.
Getting sassy there, Morgan.
Yeah, like a bit of sass.
Like it. TARDISNet66 says, great and overlooked story about a colony that's been brainwashed and had their freedom taken away in a dictatorship. Great cast, and the Macra only improved by animation. It feels like 1984, but with giant crabs.
Yeah, 1984.
Yeah, only Doctor Who can do that. Very correct, TARDISNet. Thank you very much. We've got a very controversial tweet to finish up on Twitter. This is from StevieJB23271, I think. They totally forgot to include one scene, so I'm going to pull a classic fan hissy and not mark it. He says, seriously, why bother if you're going to take the effort to get it right? It's silly, but it's taken the shine off of it. The recon team did a better job years ago. Just finishes with a bah! Exclamation mark.
Oh.
Not happy, Stevie.
No.
Over on Facebook, we had a few there. Callum Shepley says, not able to send audio. So on this one, that's totally fine. An interesting story with a very unusual soundtrack. The animation is fantastic and looks great in colour. The Macra are creepy. It creates an uneasy vibe. I just wish it was a two-parter. It drags a bit in some places. A 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Charlie Turner, a pretty good story, but I wouldn't call it one of my favourites, let alone amazing. The animation is flawless, though. The episode 2's cliffhanger is really the highlight of the story, an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, okay.
And Martin Arnold said, I love the animation, would love to see more stories, new or recovered, like this.
Yes, I hope we get some more. I feel we will.
I think so, yeah, because other than a select few fans whinging and crying over a deleted scene, I think overall the reception has been pretty positive. So
yeah,
hopefully sales are also positive.
I was going to say, hopefully the sales match the
yeah, this is the BBC, remember, so it's nothing about the opinion. This is all about the money in the bank. So if that's been rolling in, then I'm sure we'll get some more stories.
And thank goodness they released it on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray, yes. Yeah, because somebody did tweet me a while ago and said, don't bother ordering it on Blu-ray. You might as well just order it on DVD. I'm thinking, why would I do that?
Why?
Crazy, yeah. Anyways, that's the Macra Terror. Thank you so much for sending in your thoughts and reviews on that one. Next week, it's back to Torchwood. What we got next week, dude?
Torchwood, yeah. So the episode, and it definitely is this time we've checked. It's They Keep Killing Suzie next week.
Yeah, I made a bit of a boo-boo, didn't I, last month with this one, but it definitely is.
Yes, we're definitely reviewing that next week.
They Keep Killing Suzie. So get your Torchwood DVDs and Blu-rays out for that, because we'll be asking for your thoughts and reviews as always.
Absolutely.
And that's going to do, buddy, for 228. Thank you so much for sticking with us through episode 228. It's been awesome having you along for the ride, as always. And thank you so much to those who sent in your reviews for the Macra Terror. Next week, as Adam said, Torchwood, They Keep Killing Suzie. Get that watched, because we'll be asking for your thoughts and opinions on that one, which you can do so via looking out for the social media post on a Monday, or send us an audio clip up to a minute long, and we'll play those all out on the show. In the meantime, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all of our previous shows on there. Plus, there's buttons to link off to the various popular podcast networks. So you can give us a subscribe on those so you don't miss a show when it lands every Friday morning. Our biggest network is iTunes. If you're an iTunes listener, if you could spare a minute for a review, that would be amazing, because that helps us out lots. And we did have a few land over the last few weeks, so thank you very much for those. There's also buttons to link off to the various social networks, Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Give us a follow on there as we chat Doctor Who throughout the week. And also check out my co-host's channel over on YouTube, The Geek's Handbag.
Yes, The Geek's Handbag.
Loads of cool videos recently and more to come throughout April.
Got a cracking unboxing one coming.
Yes.
Well, it will be tonight if you listen to this the day the podcast comes out. It's got a lovely little surprise in it for me.
Super.
Yeah, I was very chuffed.
Yeah. Go and check out Adam's channel on YouTube. Loads of good videos, The Geek's Handbag. And you're also on all the socials under the same name.
I am indeed.
Until next week for 229, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, hey.